So you see what the plan is for today. Getting started with Excel Project 2, and it's about more formulas. Let's just take a look at some of the things we're going to be doing here. In some of the formulas, we have a thing called flash fill. Makes it a little easier to do some duplicating formulas. The very basic thing, just entering them by typing them in. Using that point, which I've been showing you a little bit already, that when you point to cells, it gets their addresses entered for you. Other functions available, of the hundreds of functions, we're just going to learn a few more. Max, min, and average. Doing some verifying of formulas. We can apply themes when we start thinking about the formatting of it. And what a cell, just how a cell displays its contents. And we can decide and automatically turn a cell a different color or a different background or a different font based on the condition of what number shows up in that cell. And we've done this a little bit already, adjusting our height and width, doing the review, checking our spelling, and adjusting our margins and headers. Here is what we're going to be producing. At the end of this, we will have a spreadsheet with lots of data in here, looking like a very professional engineering salary report. Now, it looks like a lot of work, but Excel is doing most of the work. Down here, I'll draw with my little pen here, red pen. Down here, let's see, past all these numbers here are work done by Excel. We're only entering the pay rate, the hours worked, their dependents. We're going to let Excel figure this out. Excel's going to do the work for us there. So really the only data we're entering is their name, some information about them and their pay rate, their hire date, and then Excel is doing all the rest for formulas. So a lot more formulas going on here, and the formulas get a little more complicated as well. So let's get started. Fire up Excel with a new blank spreadsheet. Or blank workbook. And no, I don't need to recover anything. I had logged out without saving something. It offers a recovery, and no, I don't need to recover anything. And now before we get started, let's just do a little practice on a second page. I'm going to click the plus and work on a second worksheet just for fun, and I'm going to just put in here practice. Just to give you an idea of how formulas work, we're going to put in a scripture. We're going to obey the scripture using Excel. Number our days. Is it Psalm 89, number our days? Or is it Psalm 91? I can't remember the psalm now. But we're going to number our days so we can apply our hearts to wisdom. Now, how in the world would we number our days? Well, let's just see how that works. Today, my birthday, and the days. Well, today, there's a formula for today. We call it equal now. There's a formula for today's date. We call it now. And I enter empty parentheses because now doesn't take any parameters. So I put equal now for today, and I hit enter, and it shows me today's date and time. Now for you, go ahead and put in your birthday. I'm going to put in my birthday. And now comes the part of obeying scripture. Make this equal to my birthday minus today. Oh, wrong order. Today is a larger number than my birthday. So it's this minus my birthday. I had it backwards. Let's see what we get for a number. Ooh, that looks like a lot of days. Could that be correct? Let's just see. Let's make this divided by 365.25 for every fourth year. So add the 0.25. Do I get what closest to my day? Yes, indeed. Look at that. So this is the number of my days by simply subtracting my birthday from today. Oh, for the years I just divided the days by 365.25 because every fourth year is a leap year. This gets a little closer. I could have just done divide by 365 and I probably would have been close. So there you are, obeying scripture using Excel. The days is simply, let me do the control tilde or control squiggly key, and it shows you my formulas in all the cells. Here's how I can obey scripture, numbering my days using Excel. Oh, and look at that. The numbers, when I go back, because I narrowed the columns, the numbers don't fit. I just double click on the border edge to get that whole number to show up. Pound signs means the number is getting squeezed. So there you have it. And let's just, since I don't need to show it in that many decimal places, let's just put that in comma format. Automatically cuts it down to 2 decimals. So there you have it, a little formula just for practice. Now let's get on to our regular work. So this is numbering our days with a formula called now, and the rest is just simple math. All right, now let's go back and we will start our engineering spreadsheet. Remember what we want it to look like. We want it to look like this in the end. So you can see we're going to be putting a title in and a subtitle. We will later on be merging and centering those, entering some headings, column headings, a few extra rows down at the bottom, and then a table full of information, mostly Excel formulas. But we need to enter the data that's static, that's unique to each individual. But we'll start by entering our title and start from the top, and go from the top down. Okay, so in the first cell, we'll enter salary report. Not even worry about the formatting yet. Enter takes me to my next cell, and that is Clepore Engineering. Salary report is the subtitle. Oh, I accidentally put this in the wrong place. It's Clepore Engineering is cell 1. Let me just drag and move that down. I'm going to grab the edge of it with the 4 arrows, and I can move that down. Clepore Engineering is the first cell. Now you could always just retype it as well. And now we're going to enter what are going to become our employee, the column headings. Tabbing to go to my next cell. Email address. And watch as I tab and start typing, it will appear to be replacing email address. No, that's just hiding behind it. Hours. Now, I have 2 words here, hours worked. If I want the word worked to automatically go to the next line, I can hit Alt-Enter, and it will make sure that a new line starts. Alt-Enter while I'm entering data. Alt-Enter. Forces a new line. Otherwise, you leave it. Otherwise, Excel will decide to wrap it however it likes. So, hours, Alt-Enter works, and then tab over. See how it forces a new line. Hourly pay rate. Want to do the same thing. I want pay rate to be on the next line, so Alt-Enter now. Pay rate. So yeah, once I hit tab, it puts it in the right place. It's kind of weird how it jumps down at first, and then once you go to the next cell, oh yeah, that's where it goes. I'll bump it back up. So Alt-Enter is what forces a new line. And we'll see that we can actually have it do its own wrapping for us. and center it and everything. But now we'll do gross pay. Since I'm not forcing a new line, if that cell got narrower, gross pay would be wiped away or hidden by the next column. Federal tax, state tax, all are going to be done by formulas. Tax percent with the percent symbol in my title. And then the very important net pay, that's what will go on your paycheck for this month. And then just some numbers of interest. We actually don't use them anywhere else in a formula, but hire date, they decide to enter that. I suppose just to give us practice at entering dates and seeing how they work. Okay, I'm going to zoom out now to see what it should look like. Don't worry that these titles are being blocked off a little bit. We will fix that later on in the formatting of things. Now we're going to start entering the names of our employees with last name, comma, first name style. And they give us a table of all our employees in the textbook. Our first employee, they give us this information. Oh, Benny Altor, A-L-T-O-R-E, Benny. Benny. And we're not going to put in their email address. We will put in their dependents, 3. Tab, hours worked, 74.5. And the only other thing we need to enter for the various employees is how many, or what their hourly pay rate is, 35.25. And then go all the way over to cell K4, and we're going to enter the hire date of 9/5/10. Now, just to make this a little easier on me, I'm going to grab the edge of this cell and I'm going to drag it all the way over to here, just so I don't have to keep dragging over this. I can just skip right over to that cell and see everything in one. I can later on expand those hidden columns there. This just makes it easy for me to see all my information on one page. We'll come back and unhide those cells. So I can hide a cell just by dragging the edge of it and dragging it into the next column. All right, so number 5 now is Linda Fox. Skipping over the email, dependents, 1, 80 hours. I don't have to type 80.0. When I put these in a common format, it'll come out nicely. The pay rate for her is 33.10. Tabbing twice now takes me to hire date. And an enter brings me back to the start for the next line. Oh, 0 dependents. Oh, I missed one. I'll finish Knox, Savannah, and enter. I skipped over one by accident. Now, if I skipped over one, I'm going to just right-click in the gray, insert. That will insert a row above the one I'm in, so I can enter one that I forgot to enter, which is Jamie Ben. You can see they're alphabetized by last name, so I want to keep the order. Right-click on the gray, will insert a row above the one I'm clicking on. What was the question? Right click over here in the gray. If I forgot a row and need to enter, just a right click here, insert will create a new row above mine that I can fill it in because I had missed Ben, accidentally skipped over Ben. Very common thing to do. You could have another thing you could have moved the whole row down, but I find it easier to insert one row above me. Oh, and he is 11516. This guy is hand-filled. This guy is 2213. Although really it's not a big deal. This guy is 101712. I accidentally put in the wrong dates. I was off in my table. You can always come back and just retype any entry. I'll zoom out a little bit now and finish the rest of them. Pitfield. And just a few more, 3 more. Ooh, Joe's been working 80 hours. Oh, put the date. You see how the 11 in the year automatically gets interpreted as 2011. And actually, it rewrites that to be 11/11/2011. Even though I typed 11, it actually changed, like it did an autocorrect kind of thing to what I was typing. And there we have all our data. The rest is formulas. We don't have to do any more entering information, although we're entering formula information for the rest of the time. And before we continue, just check, do these numbers make sense? Review our numbers. Who's making the most per hour? Looks like Steve is doing pretty well. Our youngest, newest employee, hire date, the most recent, making the least per hour. A lot of people working overtime. We want to keep track of that. All right, now let's put in some formulas. Everybody ready? Okay. Now we're going to start with the email column. So let's make some room for the email column. I'm going to widen that column, click in the column, and stretch it out a little bit. We're going to be putting an email in here. The first couple we're going to do ourselves, and then we're going to let Excel do the rest of them. Watch how that works. I'm going to type, based on their employee names, I'm going to type Altor or B Altor at Klapor.com. So let's type in his email address, B Altor at Klapor.com. Okay, he has that. Now let's type L Fox at Klapor.com. Making sure I get the spelling exactly right, or the next thing will not work. So make sure that it is exactly that spelling in both here and here, because now we're going to do a flash fill. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole set of cells that we're going to let Excel do the work for us. The thing is, there's an actual pattern going on having to do with first initial here, last name here, first initial here, last name here. If I select these cells by clicking and dragging using the thick cursor, now I can do a flash fill and let Excel guess what should be going in there without me having to type J Hanfield B Jam S Nacht. I can do the flash fill over here on the data tab, and we're looking for the flash fill over here. Where's my flash fill? You see the flash fill right there. There's a little lightning, a tiny little lightning bolt right there. Flash fill, there is a shortcut key for it. I wouldn't worry about the shortcut key unless you do it a lot. Watch what happens when I click flash fill. It guesses based on what it found and cells nearby what you would want to put for the other emails. So Excel, we didn't create a formula here. We just use a special feature of this thing called flash fill. And if you hover over that, it kind of sees what it's doing. It automatically fills in spaces, fills in values. And it knew to look around to the cells nearby to see, is there a pattern there? Because I established 2 as the pattern, flash fill knew to fill in the rest of those emails for me. Save yourself all that typing. But just imagine there were hundreds of these. You have the first 2, you select through all 100 more emails, flash fill, saves you time. And then go tell your boss, oh, I had a hard time filling in all those 100 emails. I need to go take a break now. And they go, wow, you're an amazing typist. Okay, now we're going to do some more serious formulas here. We're going to get ready for some formulas. Down here, we're going to, let's see, we're not putting in a empty cell. We're going to type totals here. And highest, lowest, and average. We're getting ready to have Excel do some formulas down below here and some statistics that maybe will make some accountant happy. At this point, they would like us to rename the sheet. Just double click on the tab, rename it Salary Report. I could rename the tab anytime I like. Now it's not a bad time. They do show here that you can actually change your tab color by right clicking. Remember, right click is your friend. And here I can change the tab color, and they would like us to choose a bluish color. Choose any of the bluish colors you like. If I click off of that tab, it goes to a solid color. Click on it, it becomes like a kind of a gradient color. Not sure why they do that right in the middle of entering data. Usually I would get all the data first and then color it up. Now it's time to get serious about functions, and the functions are going to go here where we hid these columns. Let's unhide these columns by right clicking when I have the double arrow, double line, right click, unhide. Right click, unhide, and it opens all them up again. Oh, it only opens one of them up. Let's try it. Let's try. Here's another way. I guess I can right click, unhide another time. Unhide. Or even better, let's just select through the gray F to I and then adjust the column width, and they will all now get the decent column width. Rather than unhiding 5 more times, just select the left and right of the hidden columns and expand them out. Now it's time to do a formula. Gross pay is a fairly simple formula. It's hours worked times my pay rate. And we're not going to worry about any other formulas except these for the first employee. Then we'll fill handle down after getting them right for one. So really all we're doing is entering 5 formulas and we're copying for the rest of the time. As long as we do it right, we can then just copy for the rest. So all we're doing is 5 formulas. How easy is that, huh? Gross pay equal to, well, I could type D4 or I could point to D4 and it puts it in there for me, making sure that I get the right cell. I do have to type the multiplication with it's the asterisks, the star above the 8, shift 8, and then pay rate, I click on that and it enters E4 for me. I could have typed this by hand or did the point and click. I love the point and click. I hit enter once to see, does it make sense? It should be about 2,000. Yeah, looks about right. The formula for tax, we'll make some room for that so you'll be able to see it. The formula for tax is 26%. Oh, and some fancy formula. Let's just show you the formula here. It's 26%, so it's equal to, remember we always start a formula with an equal. 26% is the same as mathematical 0.26. 0.26 multiplied by, now here comes the weird part, in parentheses, it's my gross pay, which is over what I calculated in F4, minus the number of dependents I have, down in C4, times a number that the government has given me in some tax table, 22.16. So I get $22 deduction in tax, deduction of the gross pay, and then multiply that result by 26%. So there's my formula for federal tax, using dependents as part of the calculation, and I hit enter and there's my federal tax. Essentially 26%, little less for people with dependents. Now state tax is a little simpler formula. It's simply 5.5% of my gross pay. How would I do 5.5% of gross pay? Well, equal. 5.5% is the same as 0.055 and multiplied by my gross pay, which is over there in F4. I could type F4 or point and click on F4. I'm going to type F4. Hitting enter will show me my state tax. Much smaller state tax. Now they would like to see us kind of a comparison of the percentage of my total tax as a percentage of my gross pay. So if I want that percentage, I would add up the two taxes and divide by my gross pay. Well, how would that work? Well, in this cell, I type equal. Since I'm getting the total of my two taxes added together, I need to put them in parentheses to have it calculated first. The total of the two taxes is the federal tax in G4 plus the state tax in G5 or H4. All together, parenthesis, add those two together and divide by my gross pay. That gives me my percent of tax. It gives me a fraction. Yes? Oh, it's 0.55 times gross pay. There's my state tax, 0.055 times my gross pay. So everything involves my gross pay. Good? And tax percent is the two taxes added together divided by my gross pay. Now what you get on your paycheck, this is an important number for you. It's equal to my gross pay minus all my taxes. Well, that looks like this. Equal, my gross pay is over there in F4, minus my state tax, or minus my federal tax, minus my state tax. Now in the book they put these two together in parentheses, but I like a nice simple formula. Gross minus state, gross minus federal minus state gives me my net pay. So your gross salary minus your net pay. And as you start getting in checks and jobs and your tax rate goes up, you'll realize how much money is going to the government and maybe think about what they're doing with your money. Now at this point, I could be copying down. Let's see if they do that copy down in the textbook. Now that we got it right for 1, we could be formatting it first, but I want to make sure I do it the order that the book is doing it. They enter all their formulas. Yeah, we're going to do the fill handle now. Now that we have it right for 1, I can select through all of these and copy it down using the fill handle or the Control-C, Control-V. But this case, I think it's a little more clear that I'm grabbing the fill handle, copying down for each subsequent employee, and each formula moved its reference points down as I copied my formula. It automatically calculated it correctly for the other employees. So I spent all my time making sure I got this right first. If I realize there's an error, I can fix it and then refill handle down and it will replace it. And just checking the book real quick to make sure it's coming out right. It looks like it's coming out right. Oh, yeah, Wilson.
Could you do that one more time, how you filled it after you highlighted it?
Yeah. So I select through those, and I go down to that fill handle, make sure I get the solid crosshair. If you don't have the solid, you have a thick crosshair, that's just selecting. But I need to have, and if you have the double line, that's going to move it. You want to grab the solid crosshair fill handle. Sometimes that gets hard to grab. Now, just to show you that if that fill handle is a pain, you can just do a Control-C copy, and you can then select through everything else and do a Control-V paste. It does the same thing. I kind of like that sometimes. Goes a little faster. I don't have to pin down that tiny little fill handle. All right, now we're ready to do some extra formulas. We have a total that we'd like to calculate. We have a row here called total. And for some of them it makes sense. For some of them it doesn't make sense. Like for example, the total of everybody's dependents isn't a worthwhile number for my accounting. But the total of their hours worked, that does make sense to have a total of. So I click on that and go back to my home tab and use my sigma function. By default, the sigma function gives me my sum. And yes, those are the numbers I do want to be adding up. It gives me a chance to change by just dragging through somewhere else. I do want to total those up. Now, since this is a rate, total hourly rate doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to skip that. But total gross pay does make sense. Let's make that a total. Click, sigma, total of everyone's gross pay. And I'm not sure why it automatically filled. That was kind of interesting. I hadn't noticed that before, that when I do total, it fills in the total for that for me. Oh no. Oh, that's right. It's doing the percent multiplication for me because I guess I must have copied that formula down to there. This formula, we want the total there. I could click total again. Yep, gives me the total. Or I could grab the fill handle and pull it over. It actually does give me the same number. Now, the total tax percent doesn't make any sense, so I don't need to put that number in there. I'm going to delete that. I don't want anything showing there. This, it's calculating a formula. I'm going to make sure it's giving me the sum of all my gross pay, net pays. Yep.
Whenever I try to copy it all down, it makes it turns it negative if all the numbers change.
Oh, let's take a look at what you're doing. No, you don't want to drag. You don't want a fill handle there. You want to do a select. Select first. Click and drag, select. No, yeah, all the way across. Now it's selected. Now see that little fill handle. That's the one you want, right? Oh, you can go one up from there. There you go. There you do.
Mr. Manning,
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to mix up the selecting and fill handle part.
whenever I do that, it just comes up as a date.
Okay, click on the cell and double click, or click on the tab, or double click your home tab. Okay, open it up. Okay, now click off of that cell. Now click once on this cell. Just click once. Now go up above, see where the number format box is in the center of above in the ribbon, right up there. Click on date or click on the comma format. Or you can click on that thing above it that says accounting. Click on there and go back to general. It was trying to interpret the number as a date. At some point, you accidentally told it to format that as a date. Okay, so do we need to total our higher dates? You know, we actually could. See what we get. Total higher dates gives us a sum. Oh, I want to sum all my dates. Excel won't complain because, do you know what? Dates are actually saved as a sort of a number inside of Excel's memory. It's a number of seconds since January 1st, 1900. But that's a crazy number. It doesn't make any sense to us. But you can say, hey, treat that number as a date and see what it comes out as. Excel will do that for you. And even this number, I could say, oh, put that in date format and just show me what date shows up. I can say, show me that as a date. And it will say, okay, if I interpret that as a date, that's the number I get. Well, that doesn't make any sense for us, so we'll go back to general. That's the default treatment of all entries into cells. Just treat it as general. If it's a number, it'll display with decimal points. Okay, now we've got those totals. Oh, and we want, instead of the sum of tax percentages, we want that to be, oh, actually we don't want any sum there. So we don't add tax percent. We could put an average here, but we're gonna leave that blank. Okay, now we're gonna go on to some extra formulas because this project is all about formulas. The highest is interesting for some of our data. Right here, it might be interesting to know who has, what is the highest number of dependents somebody has. Maybe that's important to somebody. Well, how would we get the highest? Well, over here under the sigma, that little tiny arrow next to it gives us a hint at other very commonly used formulas, and we find a formula called max, otherwise known as the highest of many other numbers. So I click max, it starts the formula max, and it guesses what to give the max of, and I do see that it's maxing all the way up to the totals. I don't want it to max the totals. I want to have that to be dragged through C3 only to C12. I only want the max of those numbers because I'm getting ready to fill handle across too. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that we were doing those? Were we were doing the max of the dependents?
Oh yeah, this is the max of dependents right now. Yeah. Let me zoom out just a tiny bit.
What did you just like type in the formula, or did you
Let me zoom out just a little bit more here. I clicked on the cell, went up here and chose max otherwise, but I could have just typed equal max. That's the same as typing equal max. But if I choose on this, it's actually guessing what numbers to give me the max of. And although there's nothing there, it doesn't affect my formula. I only wanted to have to give me the max of C4 to C12. So I click and drag C4 to C12 and see how it's adjusting my range. And now when I fill handle to the right, it'll skip over the total row for those other ones. I don't want the total involved in my max. So I hit enter, and I do see, yes, 3 is the max of the dependents. Now I can fill handle this over, click on it once, copy the formula all the way across to net pay. And it's showing me that it's giving me the max of net pay, not including the totals. So this is how we get it to skip over the total, by having it skip over the total first time and then fill handling it over. So again, the formula is max of that range, C4 colon C12, and then let's just verify, is it giving you the max? 80 is the max, 41, yeah, 2648. 682. Looks like it's giving me the right max. I could even give me the max of the dates as well. What would that mean? Let's click turn that into date format. The max of the date should be our youngest, or our most recent hiring date, because time or dates are stored as numbers that increase in the future. So this is the date of the most recent hire. Doesn't make any sense, but Excel is happy to give us the max of a date, and if we tell it to show it as a date, it'll show that's the date. I could say, hey, treat that as a number, and there's the number of days since January 1st, 1900. But I don't need a max for the dates. But Excel is happy to treat dates as numbers, and you can do all sorts of mathematical formulas. Now let's do the lowest. Do the same kind of thing. We're going to calculate it here and then drag it across. The lowest, can you guess, would be up here, min. Max and min are two friends, opposites. And what do I want the min of? Well, just the min of C4 to C12. Drag through to point and click that range, enter, and fill handle. Practice at those manipulations of formulas. And average. There's a average built in the common functions. Now, just to give you a little peek at this, down here on more functions, this is where the superpower of Excel is, and anyone advanced in Excel, they spend more time on all the rest of the functions used. There's financial, date and time, math, statistical, tons of formulas, functions built into Excel. We're just getting a tiny little taste of the many, many functions available to you. That's where the pro Excel people work at. We're just looking for the average, and it's guessing what I want to get the average of. No, I want the average of, again, C4 to C12. I get the average of C4 to C12 by dragging through, hitting enter, and now I can fill handle them across. Now I could have just done all three and fill handled them all together, and it would have given me the same answer. But I think it's good as we think through it. I get the formula there, check that it's correct, escape, fill handle it across, and then one at a time. And always check, do the numbers make sense? Are they coming out meaningful? Oh, and I haven't saved it yet. All this work yet, I haven't saved this. I'm going to do Control S and save it to my section, giving it a file name. And this happens to me occasionally, where the save kind of locks up on me. But then it comes back. It used to only happen on that other computer. There we go. So now I'm going to browse to where I want to save my files. Section 1. I'm going to call it EX2. I'll put my last name, JSmart EX2. And we'll call it Frangold. Salary. I mean, Klapor. I had to put Frangold. Klapor's Engineering. Now I've saved it. I have it in the correct format. And let's see if there's any other numbers. Just like we did before, we're doing the first part, getting our numbers in right. And the rest is then printing it up. Checking now. Formula. I'm checking the textbook that we've done everything. Yeah, in the textbook they did just the one, and then they fill handled across the one column, then they fill handled across. Oh, mathematically. Oh, we just noticed mathematically the average of the tax percent isn't a meaningful number, so they delete this one right here. We don't need to see the mathematical average of the tax percent. It's an invalid number because it's kind of a rate. Okay, and we're going to save it. Now remember, anytime I want to verify a formula, I can just double click on a cell and it shows me that formula and where the numbers are coming from. Escape before I click anywhere else. Verify, yes, it's getting the sums from that row. Any formula, double click, it shows me what cells are involved in the calculation of that formula. And I click on this one, it's showing me, it's giving me the average of those numbers in that column. And remember, the control tilde will show you your formulas everywhere, so it should look something like that. About everything is a formula. Control tilde again shows me the results of the formulas. Anytime I click on a cell, it shows me the formula up there, shows me the result of the formula there. And we'll stop there, save that, have a backup of it, have a wonderful weekend. This has been recorded for our wonderful volleyball players and others that weren't able to be here.